Okay, so if you don't perform, spend some time and do that, guys. So I'll tell you the reason. Whatever the topics we discussed so far, this task is going to cover all those topics. Okay. So I told you I'm telling you from day one onwards, without hands-on, without practice, you cannot learn these Amazon Web Services. Always keep that in mind and spend at least 1 hour for AWS for coming 30 days. Okay. Just looking into video or reading an article or just listening session won't give you that confidence and so while performing you are going to get into a lot of issues. You need to start building the troubleshooting skills, so remember that. Okay. Okay. Right. So in today's session, quickly we are going to discuss a couple of things about Linux operating system. And yeah, I'm going to generate one coupon and I'm going to get that coupon today. Okay. Okay. So first thing, we already discussed how we can launch an Linux EC2 instance and how to get connected to that. I hope you are clear with that. So you can use your required application, your required browser. We discussed 3 to 4, I believe. PuTTY, MobiXterm, and local command prompt, and you can install Git and you can use Git console also. Okay. So you can choose any. So first thing, we are going to launch Linux instance, Amazon Linux. Then we are going to get connected to that. And I'll show you how to update the operating system, like how we have Windows updates. So I'm going to show you how to update the operating system. That's the first thing. Second thing, we are going to install, like how we install IIS for our Windows. We are going to install HTTPD Apache web server in Linux operating system, and we will look into that. So exactly same way we have Nginx, that is also not that much difficult. So we can even discuss that also. That's the second thing. And third, how we can associate a new volume. How you can associate a new volume and how can make that permanently mounted. Okay. So again, these things I already explained in our videos, the given course. So please spend some time and go through that thoroughly. Not only useful here, even if you observe many of the job roles, so they are asking Linux experience. The only reason is Linux is secured compared to Windows. First thing. Second thing, Linux is free to use. For Windows operating system, you need to pay for that, and most of the applications are involved with licensing part. But Linux, you can start installing any kind of application, and mostly 80% applications will be available. And as Amazon's own Linux operating system is Amazon Linux AMI, Amazon is going to provide long-term support. It's a free always, and Amazon itself will provide the support for that. So whoever with these Amazon Web Services, they will prefer to go with Amazon Linux AMI. Okay. Again, you can take any Linux. The process is same, no changes, nothing. Okay. So now, let us start launching our Linux EC2 instance. So I'm navigating to EC2 and I'm in Mumbai region. And here click on launch instance. And here is Amazon Linux 2 AMI. This is Amazon Linux AMI. You can choose either of the one. Both works for us. No issues with that. And this comes under Fedora family. You can use RPM command, Red Hat Package Manager, to install anything. And yum is installed by defaultly. So you can just give yum space and give the package name and you can install anything. And you're going to get some default applications also. You can find that here. So for example, if you want to work on MySQL, see these repositories included Docker, MySQL and PostgreSQL. You can simply pick this and you can start using this. Or Amazon EC2, Systemd, GCC. So for latest packages, you can just go here and you can pick. So I'm going to select Amazon Linux 2 AMI, T2 Micro. So here, if you observe, almost all options are same. This file system, we'll talk about this. We have EFS, Elastic File System. So there we can create and we can associate that here. Okay. And shutdown behavior, I'm going to set it to stop and I'm going to enable termination protection. Okay. So then click on next. Storage 8 gigs. If you want to increase this, yes, you can increase. Okay, now click on next. Here is a tag, so I'm going to add a tag and I'm going to call this as first Linux instance. Click on next. So see here, as it is a Linux operating system, port number 22 must be opened. So make sure you take care about that. So however, we created one security group, MySG. So there we have opened SSH as well as RDP. So you can use that security group for both the operating system. And we even opened port number 80 also. So we can make our EC2 instance as a web server. That works. For example, if this is not available, it cannot deliver any HTTP traffic from the EC2 instance. Okay. Click on review and launch. So again, if you have access to this key pair, launch your instance with this key pair. Otherwise, just go here, create a new key pair, give a name, download that key pair and launch instance. Okay. So quickly, I'm going to create a new key pair. The next key pair is the name I'm giving. Click on download key pair. Here it got downloaded. Click on launch instance. Then click on view instances. So I'm going to move this key pair to my desktop. It is my PEM file. Okay. Again, I'm going to maintain all the key pairs in a directory called key pair. So I'll move this here. So instead of looking, I can simply browse here and I can get connected. And if you want to delete any of the key pair from your AWS, go to this key pairs option. For example, I really don't want to use this AWS 730 batch key pair anymore. Then I can delete it. Delete. Now the key pair got deleted. You may get a doubt. What about existing instances running in my AWS environment? Can I get connected to those instances? Yes, if you not deleted that from your local machine. I've not deleted that from my local machine, so I can use that. But can I use a key pair for any coming instances, future launching instances? As I deleted from console, I cannot use that. Okay, so I hope I'm not using that key pair for any of the instance. So you can, I'm using Mumbai KP, and for these, this one also, I'm using Mumbai KP, so I can delete this from my local machine. So this is deletion complete. All right. So this is a PEM file. So let's get connected to this. This is the first Linux instance. Grab the public DNS. So then I'm under my folder, giving CMD. It is going to open command. give dir, it should show your key pair. If it is not showing your key pair, you cannot get connected to that instance. Where is your key pair is located? You must be in that particular path, then only you can. So this is like a using PEM format. So the format is ssh-i, then give linux keypair.pem. You really no need to type everything, guys. Give first couple of letters and use tab, it is going to autofill automatically. The file is available. When multiple files are there, you have double tab, it is going to show, okay, how many files are with that name. All right. So then default username is ec2-user. Click on enter, @ So then give your public IP address or public DNS. See here, so far it is showing cmd.exe. When I click on enter, it is asking yes or no. I given yes. Immediately it is changed to IP address of this machine, EC2 user. So we got connected to this Amazon Linux 2 AMI. When you connected for the first time, it will tell us, okay, out of 13 packages, 5 updates are related to security. So security is always important. So to update your operating system with latest security patches, run a command sudo space yum update. Give that here. Again, as a what user I got connected? EC2-user. So that user, if you're trying to give directly yum update or if you're trying to install something, it will not allow us. Why? Because we need to install any of the package by using administrative privileges. We are going to have a file called sudo or there this user entry is going to be available. So forget about that. Simple. Take any Windows application, we have multiple options, right? For example, I can open this putty, one method. I can even give right click and run as administrator. What is the real difference between these two? Not only this, we have CMD command. I can just go and I can open this command. And the same thing, I can give CMD, I can give right click, run as administrator. What is the real difference between this? Sorry? Yes. So you are running that program with administrative privileges. So exactly same way, if you are working as a EC2-user, you always need to give sudo command. That means you are running with administrative permissions. And this user have that permission. So before that, give who am I? So you are EC2-user. And so when we connected for Windows for the first time, what we did, we have it, change the password. Here also, if you really don't want to browse that key pair always, you can edit couple of settings and you can change that password. You can set up a password. At moment is password enabled. No, we are using key pair to get connected. But I want to enable password. And again, I want to perform all these actions as a root user. See, in our Windows, how we have administrator. In Linux operating system, we have root user. He is going to have full access on our operating system. There you really no need to give this sudos and all. Whatever command you want to, you can. And he can modify any configuration file and he can delete anything. Okay. So I want to elevate my privileges to root user. So then give sudo space su. When you click on enter, now if you give who am I, you're working as a root user now. You're working as a root user. So now you can give any commands. Okay. So let's do one thing. First of all, I want to update my operating system. The command is yum update. Yum update -y. Again, why we are giving -y? If I give only yum update, it is going to get all the informations, all the files it is going to update, it is going to install, and we will wait for our input. So you can read this. If you think everything is good, your application or your own files is not going to get affected, then you can give Y, that is nothing but yes. If you give D, it just downloads metadata. If you give N, it is going to cancel. N means no, D means downloads all metadata related to this, and yes. So I want to, then I can give yes. But I know what I'm executing. So I really don't want to make it as an interactive one. So what I can do, I can give em update -y. Don't ask me yes or download or no. Take yes as an option. Click on enter. It won't ask us. It picked yes as an option and it's installing everything. So interactive, non-interactive. So I have given em update -y. So I'll write these commands. First, we have given em update -y, and before that we have given who am I command. It tells us what is the currently logged in or working user, and sudo space su space to root user from ec2 -user. First, when you give tells the what user you're working as, em update -y updates the OS with latest patches, right? Okay, it is completed. I'm clearing the screen. It just clear the screen, nothing more than that. But everything will be available on top if you scroll up, and even you can use history command also. Sorry. You can use history command. These are the commands we have executed so far. Okay. Right. Now, before installing something, I will go here. I will test the output, whether I'm getting any web page or not. So it is saying error connection refused. So if you verify, even this security group also open with port number 80. So for our Windows, we have worked with the same security group as port number 80 that is going to deliver. So no issues related to security group, but we are not able to get that. Why? Because you have not installed any web servers in this machine. So I'm going to install one web server now. So then the command is yum install the package name stdpd. Again, interactive or non-interactive. Give -y. Click on enter. It is going to execute. So Amazon is going to maintain a couple of yum repositories. So the advantage with Linux operating system is you cannot you can just download trusted applications only. See, I've shown you one thing. In Windows, if you want to install, we have many websites, many third-party websites, and you really don't know whether that application is a genuine or any spamware or any any what is that? Any phishing is there, or they are going to take any information or not. So nobody is trustedly verifying that, right? Nobody is verifying that, and we always don't use that checksums or signatures. Checksum or signature where we can use. So whatever the file you download from that website, in between to that file, any modifications happen or not, there you can use a checksum or signatures. So if that is okay, but only some official website will give that option. Most of the websites don't give that. So instead of that, like in our not like that, unlike that, in our Linux operating system, we have trusted repositories. If you add that into your machine, then only you can continue with that. Okay, so the package name is stdpd. For example, I want to install MySQL. I can simply give MySQL, click on enter. It is going to look into the repository. If you want to just give yes, it is going to install. I'm just canceling this. Again, if you want to install yum install php, just give php, click on enter. There again you can see it is getting all the files, everything. So how simple it is to install applications in Linux operating system. I'll tell you one thing, guys. If you don't have any experience with Linux operating system, this is the right time to start. It is not at all difficult. Once you started loving Linux operating system, you start hating Windows also. Trust me. And it is nothing new. The thing is, we are just going to execute a command for all operations. If you want to go to any other folder, get cd, change directory. But there we have visualization. You can just go here. You can just click on that. So we habituated to Windows. That's the only reason we're still using, and we have a fear related to Linux operating system. But at production level, according to my opinion, 80% of the systems are with Linux. Okay, so now I want to make this as a web server. So then yum install stdpd is the package name -y. So non-interactive. Okay, so yum install stdpd -y. Installed Apache web server. All right, now let's go here and test this. Still I'm not able to. Maybe the reason is service may be in stop state. See, in Windows, for every single operation, backend one service is running. For example, now I'm able to view this in backend. Explorer service is running. I'm able to work on this browser. Why? Because chrome.exe service is running in backend. Time, it is working. Backend one service is running. Windows time service is running. So that's why it is displaying. Exactly same way, I want to know the status of that installed service. So in Windows, you can give services.msc. When you give services.msc, it lists all the services. The one is in running state or the one is in stop state, it is going to list everything. So this is what the services. See, this is the status. These all services are in running state. For example, so the Windows audio is running just because of this Windows audio is in running state. If I stop this, audio will not work. What are the components related to that? It cannot deliver that. And again, we have an option startup type. What is startup type? When you install or when you reboot your operating system, when you turn on your operating system or when you reboot, so what happened to that service? Is it going to start automatically or you need to start that service manually? That is automatic. That means when I turn my computer on, that is going to start automatic. I really no need to go and start a service. But we have another services like, for example, Google Chrome is a service. So that is a evaluation service. Let's assume that is another service related to Google Chrome. So if I want to run that, I need to start that manually. Or when I'm running that application, it is going to trigger that service automatically. So it all depends on that. So exactly same way, I want to verify the status. So service stdpd status. Click on enter, and it is saying stdpd service, the Apache stdpd server. Active status is, it is inactive state and it is dead. You got that? Service is installed successfully, but it is in inactive state or it is in dead state. I want to start the service. Then service stdpd start. Enter that, service got started. Again, I want to run the status again. When I click on enter, there you can see it is active and running. From 6 seconds onwards, it is running. Now let's go here, give a quick refresh, and we got the test page. We got the test page. Again, if I reboot my operating system, will I get that page? If I reboot my Linux operating system, am I going to get this page automatically? That means technically, is that Apache is going to start automatically? No, I've nowhere made HTTPD service as a startup service. I want to make HTTPD as a startup service. We have that services in Windows like audio, time, those all services. So for that, the command is chk config httpd on. When you give this, it is creating a system link from this service to this particular one. Whatever the services you have under this system D system, it is going to start automatically. Even in Windows also we have a startup directory. You can paste any shortcut there, it is going to run automatically. Okay, so exactly same way we have made this as a logon service. So if I reboot my machine also, this HTTPD service is going to work and I'm going to get this page automatically. I really no need to log in and I really no need to start that service always. Got that? Okay. So let's write down the commands. First one is install httpd-y, then service httpd status. To know the status, start to start the service, stop to stop the service, restart to restart the service. These are the available options. So give service httpd space, then you can pick any of the one. For example, you perform some configuration related changes. Simply you can give service httpd space restart. You really don't need to reboot entire operating system. The service is going to restart. Okay, right. So the next one is chk config httpd on. This one is to make Apache as a logon or startup service. Okay, again, it is giving a simple test page. It is giving a simple test page. So instead of this test page, I want to deliver my own very simple HTML file where I can add that content and where we can add. You really no need to perform as things. When you install that package, you are going to get a directory where www.html. Click on enter. Now give pwd, that means where exactly you are. Your print working directory or present working directory. It is going to print your currently working directory. In simple, in what folder you are. It tells, okay, that is where www.html. CD means change directory. We are moving from here and there. We are moving just here and there by using cd command. So again, if you don't know this path, just go here. If you are the website administrator, you may need to add content to this directory where www.html. So whatever the pages you are going to create there, in our IIS, inetpub, www root, there we have created index.html in IIS. In Apache, under var www.html, there create index.html. That is going to deliver as a web page. Okay, now let's go there. So I'm in that particular path and I want to create one file. So we have multiple editors in Linux operating system. So I'm using VAM editor. So give a name. Again, I want to verify, do I have any files in this location? I'm giving ls. It is not returning with any. Basically, Linux is not a result shown oriented operating system. For example, if a command executed successfully, it won't tell that. Okay, ls is executed successfully and all. If command is not executed, yes, it will tell. For example, QWE command is not available. When I enter, there you can see command not found. But ls, not showing anything. So if it is returned, that means command is executed successfully. So I have given ls, it is written successfully. That means nothing available there. Again, I am suspecting we may have some hidden directories here, right? So if you want to view that, give ls space -a, list everything, including hidden directories and all. Click on enter. It's showing dot and dot dot. Dot means current directory, dot dot means previous directory. So if you want to go back, give cd space dot dot. It takes one step back directory or backspace in simple. So if you are representing cd, I mean just dot, that is nothing but you are pointing to same directory. Okay, so only those two are available. That's available in all the locations. So no hidden directories, nothing. Right. Now I want to create one file index.html. So in Windows, like we can use Notepad, we can use Notepad++, WordPad, or like you can take any of the text editor and you can create that. Exactly same way in Linux also we have many text editors. VI, successor of VI is VIM, Nano editor. So you can choose any, you can create your file. Okay, so I'm giving VIM index.html. The file name is index.html. Click on enter. Now immediately new file got opened. See here, index.html. It is a new file. Now whatever thing you want to write, you can write it here. But it is not allowing me to write. I'm pressing key, but it is not allowing me to write this. Just because of file by default opens in read-only format. Press I to go to insert mode. Now I pressed I, immediately here you observe, I'm in insert mode. I can start writing all my data here. So very simple HTML guys. Opening HTML tag, giving header 1, and I'm going to call this as this is a simple website, and close the header 1 and close the HTML tag. This is what it is. Again, if you really don't know what exactly Rosa and all, we have w3schools.com. Just go there, you can find a number of the very simple templates. Go to HTML, learn HTML, and here just pick any HTML introduction, scroll down, this is a very simple one, click on try it yourself. Okay, this is what it is. Now instead of this, my first heading, give this, okay, this is my test web page. Created for Apache web server. Then paste title. So now copy all this. Just give a right click, it is going to paste everything here. So you can use many background color, PG, image, everything. Press escape, you will come out from insert mode. Press I, observe here, we are insert mode. Press escape, you are coming out from insert mode. If you want to save this information to this file, press escape, :WQ. Write and quit. :WQ means write and quit. Click on enter. Now again we came back to our regular terminal. Vector shell, bash, you can call it as anything. Okay, so now again you can start executing commands. I want to verify whether data is written to that index.html or not. So without opening that file also we can view what information we have inside that. That is cat, or you can use more also. You can use either of the one. So you can give cat, then the file name. See, I'm not typing everything. I just give an I, press tab, it is going to pick automatically. Then click on enter. There you can see, this is what the information we have inside that file. I'm going to use more index.html, the same thing is. That means, okay, the data is written into that file. Sometimes you may enter some wrong data. You want to close a file without saving the information. So I'm going to open same document again, press I to go to insert mode, and I entered some wrong data. I pressed escape to come out from insert mode. Now, if I gave :WQ, what happened? This wrong data or this unnecessary data will store into that file. But I really don't want to save changes to this file. I want to quit this editor without writing data. So then we can give Q exclamatory. Quit forcefully without writing the changes to that file. Q exclamatory means quit forcefully. Click on enter. Now, if you give cat, see, the unnecessary data is not stored or saved or written into that file. Okay. So VIM editor. So give VIM. Again, the path, document root path actually, we call it as the path is var www.html. Simply give cd space var www.html. It will take you to that path. There, use VIM editor to create a file. VIM space index.html. Click on enter. So whatever the one you have here, write this. Once you have written this, give again press I to go to insert mode, escape to come out from insert mode or read only out mode. Okay, then :WQ is for write and quit the editor. :Q exclamatory, quit without writing changes or quit forcefully. Okay, so this is for your reference. I am giving this very simple one. You can just pick that or you can use that. Okay, now let's go here, give a quick refresh. There you can see we got that. Again, see here I'm not giving any /index.html and all, but that is a default web page we are going to get. There only, if you are creating any other, for example, status check.html, in our load balancer we are going to use this mechanism. So I'm creating VIM status check.html, press I, the same thing, but here I'm going to write okay. So :WQ. Now I created another file called statuscheck.html. If I want to view that, I can give ls. There you can see index.html is there and statuscheck.html. If I go here, if I refresh only, index.html is displaying. How I can view that statuscheck.html? Give /statuscheck.html. There you can see. Now it is loading this page. Okay. Clear with this? So the default page is index.html. There in the directory, whatever the files, whatever the subdirectories you are going to maintain, you can give / and you can give that files. It works for us. Okay. So whenever you are configuring load balancer, we are going to point, okay, perform all health checks to that particular file, ping that file. So that is how exactly you can manage or you can create a simple web server. Okay. So now we have If you want to associate a new volume, so first of all, I want to see how many volumes I have associated to this. I really don't have, let's assume you really don't have any access to AWS console level. You want to view. So then the command is df space hyphen capital TH. It is going to show you all the available file systems and the types and size of that and percentage of used one, available one, used percentage, and where it is mounted. See, this slash is important. The one we created and associated 8 GB one, right? That is what it is. The root volume, and it always mounts with slash. Simple, that is C drive for our Linux operating system. Again, I want to view all the block-based devices. Then ls blk. Forget about the df-th. It is giving a lot of information. I really don't want all those. So see here, we have only one volume, XPDA, and that contain 8 GB, and it is mounted to slash. So everything, all files, everything available under the slash. Now I want to associate a new file system here. I want to associate a new volume. Okay. So for that, let's navigate to AWS Elastic Block Storage volumes. And here, where our EC2 instance is running, it is running in AP South 1A. So create a new volume in AP South 1A. Again, if you create in 1B, can you associate that? No, you cannot. So click on create volume, 1 GB, same as my EC2 instance, AP South 1A, and I'm going to call this as additional volume. Click on create volume. There you can see one new volume is created, but it is in available state. Let's go to actions, attach volume. When you click here, it is going to show you all the instances running in AP South 1A. So our instance is there, first Linux instance. I'm going to select that, click on attach. All right. Immediately status got changed to in use from available. That means associated successfully. So in Windows, what we did, we have made it online. Then we have initialized that and we have written a file system like a FAT, NTFS or EFS. Then we allocated a drive-letter. So in Windows, we are mounting it to a drive-letter. But Linux, we are going to mount it to a directory, a folder. In Linux operating system, everything is going to be treated as a directory. Whatever NIC card you are associating, it is going to be treated as a file only. So, okay. So now my present working directory is home directory of EC2-user. So this root user have permissions everywhere, so you can work anywhere. So, but I'm going to pick this. And I want to create a folder here. If I gave ls, nothing. But before that, whether that associated successfully or not, again you can run ls blk. Now, earlier we have only 8 GB one. Now it is showing newly added 1 GB one also. That means, okay, our operating system is able to detect that 1 GB. But do we have any file system? No. It is a raw partition, raw volume. So first of all, you need to write a file system. But before that, let's try to mount. So to create a directory, the command is mkdir. Mkdir means make directory. Simple, it creates a folder. So then I'm going to call this as a new volume. When you gave ls, okay, we got that newly created directory. Let's try to mount that. Mount. Again, where this xpdf is there, you need to get that complete path. So mount /dev xp. See, I given tab. I have given x tabs in multiple locations are available with X. So when I give double tab, it is going to show all. So we are talking about XPDF. Give XPD, again multiple available for XPD. Next to that, XPDA and XPDA1 is for our root volume. For our 1 GB one, we got XPDF. We have that. Where you want to mount? I want to mount it to this newly created new volume. Click on enter, and it is saying run FS type. So FS means basically it is a file system. We need to write the file system. So basically, so in Windows, as we discussed, like we have file systems, right? You know, add, NTFS, VFS, exactly same way. In Linux operating system, we have file systems. So if you give df space -th, here you can find the file system type, XFS, temporary file systems, ext3, ext4, these are file systems. So I want to pick one file system and I want to write that file system to this volume. Then the command is mkfs, make file system, -t. What type of file system you need to mention that here. So let's assume you want to go with the XFS or you want to go with the ext4, you can give any. Then where is your volume? My volume is dev xpdf. Again, don't give xpda, your OS is going to crash. Okay, so give dev xpdf, click on enter. There you can see, okay, so here make file system. What is the OS type? What is a block? What is a, you know, all information. How many blocks we are going to get, writing super blocks and all, everything is done. That means one file system is written. So we have choose what ext4. So mkfs -t ext4/dev/xpdf. Given that, now let's try to mount this. So mount dev xpdf, and I'm going to mount it to new volume. Then click on enter. Seems it is success. So then give a command called mount-a. Fine. Now when you give ls, new volume is there. Let's go inside that new volume. Give ls, it is showing lost plus found. That means mounted successfully. Now here, whatever the files, for example, you can use touch command to create very simple file, a.txt, touch b.txt. Okay, files got created. So it is showing these files available under new volume, and it looks like a, if you really don't know, so simple give df capital -th -not. So now we have this directory /home/ec2-user/new volume. In that particular path, whatever the files or folders you are going to store, it is actually storing under this associated 1 GB volume. Again, technically this is a temporary mount. So we are going to have a file called fstab. Under etc, you are going to have a file called fstab. If I reboot this machine, this volume will not be available again. If I want to make it as a permanent mount, so let's do that. So now I have a couple of files there, right? So I'm here and I'm going to select my instance. If I go here, if I reboot this, that volume will not be available. So you can just reboot and you can give it a try. So once reboot, while rebooting it, the session is going to see here connection is closed. So again, so wait for a minute, then give this up command and try to enter. Click on enter, it will try to mount. And when we reboot, this public IP address changes. When we reboot our EC2 instance, this public IP address is going to change. See, if it is stop and stop, yes, it is going to. But when we reboot, is it going to? No. When we reboot, public IP address will not change. If you perform stop and start, then only it is going to change. Remember that. Reboot. So far, this is what our IP address, right? 118.185. See, the system is rebooted. I'm able to get output. Is it changed? No. So far, this is what the IP address I used to get connected, and I'm able to get connected here. So now, let's navigate to the place where we mounted. If you gave ls, new volume is there. Let's go inside that new volume. If you gave ls, where is the a.txt and b.txt? Where is that a.txt and b.txt? It is not available. But earlier we have it, right? See. Okay. It is not showing that. So, but before we created a couple of files, right? And it's shown last plus found also when we are a new volume. But now it is not available. That's because of that is a temporary mount. So we need to make it as a permanent mount. So before do that, let's try to mount it manually. Mount dev xvdf, and we are mounting to new volume. Okay, only root can do that. Let's switch to root user and let's run that again. So mount dev xvdf mounted to new volume. Same success. Now let's go inside that new volume. If you gave ls, there you can see we got that a.txt and b.txt. So again we have associated that 1 GB volume to our folder. Then we are able to find our files. Again if I reboot, again this will go unavailable. So what you can do is you can make an entry in fstab file. I'm under etc. If you gave ls, you can find many files. Here look for fstab. This is a file. So we need to add one entry. We need to add one entry again. So we have a small cheat for this. So you can just give cat etc mtab. When you click on enter, so whatever the one you are going to get here, dev xvdf related one, copy this and add this entry in our fstab file. This is what command. /etc/mtab. Enter this. Then it is going to return with many. It is written with many of the ones. See here, for example, if you're talking about root, you can find that here somewhere. This xvda. This is an entry we have already in fstab file, so that is why it is mounted automatically. So exactly same way, just scroll down. Here is a one related to dev xvdf. If you are not able to find this here, mount it. Again, rerun that. Okay. So let's copy this. Now open fstab file. Press I to go to insert mode. So this is what? /root volume. So now take a new line, go to insert mode, whatever the one you copied, paste it here. Press escape, :wq. We did that. So to verify, cat fstab. So we got a new line along with the slash. Volume is /dev xvdf /home/ec2 user new volume. File system type is ext, rdebl, real time, data, and 0 and 0. So don't worry about those things. Okay. So we have used cat etc mtab. Get the entry related to our associated volume, add that entry in our fstab file. So now after reboot also that will be available. So whenever you are in home directory, ec2 user, Here we have new volume, right? After reboot also, that is going to mount automatically. So you really don't need to perform these actions always. So let's do that. We have a.txt and b.txt, right? Let's reboot it. Go to actions, reboot. So our IP address is 118.185. It's changing. Now, again, even status also not changing, but in backend it is going to reboot. If you want to view that, get system screenshot, unknown error, reload. That means it is still restarting. So it is not yet booted. Get instant screenshot. See, it is booting. You can refresh. Okay, these are services are starting. So it is mounted to sysroot. Okay, so it is available. Now you can start logging. So let's go here. We run this. We got connected. Let's go to home directory of EC2-user. If you gave ls, we have new volume. Let's go inside new volume. If you gave ls, we have a.txt and b.txt. It is mounted by defaultly. Got it? So again, you can give mount -a. It is going to mount basically. So again, now only root can do. So we need to execute that after entering entry in fstab file. So give mount -a or mount -all. So it is going to mount. Okay, it's already mounted, so you really don't need to worry about that. So sometimes, like a Red Hat and all, you can enter this command mount space -a. So again, these all things discussed in our Linux course in detail. So spend some time and go there. So again, in our coming sessions, we are not going to discuss about us attaching new volumes, detaching. We are not going to. So that is another thing. And so if you are looking for password authentication instead of these key pairs, so we have a file called SSHD config. So we are going to have a service called SSHD. So we have a service called SSHD. If this service is in stopped state, you cannot get connected to this machine. So if you want to, you need to edit some settings related to this SSHD. So /etc, multiple files available for that. So let's go for SSH, gave ls. There you can see we have multiple files. So pick this SSHD _config. Look into that cat SSHD.config. So this is what it is. So here you can find some entries. Password authentication is set to no. That means if you have access to key pair, then only you can log in. So passwords is not working, but I want to enable passwords one. So what you can do, edit this. I have given only cat command. What cat will do? It just displays, right? So I'm going to use vim SSHD _config. Again, if you want to take a backup of this before editing, cp SSHD config, then .pkp. If something goes wrong, you can, to be in safe side, we are creating a backup copy. So now let's open SSD config. Press I to go to insert mode. Scroll down and look for password authentication option. See here, password authentication option is set to no. Make it yes. I'm making it as a yes. So I want to use passwords instead of key pairs. Press escape, :WQ. Okay, fine, we made that entry and we have written that. So you can use cat to verify whether that is saved or not. Fine, that is saved successfully. So, but we don't know the existing passwords, EC2 users one and root users one. So set a password. The command is PASSWD, then space root. I want to set a password for root user, then changing password for root user. What is the password? So I'm giving Avinash@123. All authentication tokens updated successfully. Okay. Now I want to set a password for EC2 iPhone user also. Then PASSWD, then space EC2 iPhone user. Click on enter. Changing password for EC2 iPhone user. So I'm giving a password. All authentication tokens updated successfully. Now let me exit. 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 So now I'm under my local machine. Okay. So I want to get connected to this machine. So then SSH. SSH. What is the default username you want to use? So I want to use root user. Give at the rate. Seems we have not restarted the service SSSD. Okay. We need to restart the service as we perform some more configuration changes. Let's see. Even root at the rate. So it is saying permission denied and all. Let's look. Let's use that earlier one. Okay, so I'm elevating. I'm going to restart the service. I forgot one step. We need to restart. So service SSHD restart. So service got restarted. The changes is going to take effect. Okay. Now I'm going to exit and exit. Clear the screen. Now if I want to get connected, SSH space -i not required now. EC2 user at the rate. Then you can give the public IP address. Enter that here. Click on enter. It is asking me for the password. Earlier, did it ask me for the password? We have given -i and we have browser key pair. Now, did we browse that key pair? No. It is asking for the password. I'm using the password. I got connected. Exactly same way. I want to get connected directly as a root user. I really don't want to use this EC2 user and all. Then same instead of EC2 user. As we set up a password for that, give root and it is asking root user password and I'm giving the password. Click on enter. I got connected. Who am I? You are working as a root user now. So without key pair you can, but you need to edit an entry in SSSD config file. Okay. So this is the basic operations. Again, in our coming session, we are going to use only these things, guys. Throughout our course, we are going to use this. Only one thing we are going to perform like a EFS mount. The one we we have mounted that, right? So we are going to create a entry in FS tab. Other than that, no other operations. So, but you can get exposure or you can gain some knowledge on this Linux operating system by going through that course. Okay. So seems I got a couple of questions here. Can I add to root volume? Means root. What you can add, Vijay? I mean, what property you're talking about? Extra space? Yes, you can increase. You can increase the spaces for our existing volumes. It is possible. So it involves with a couple of complex steps. So I'm not taking some time to do that here. So after this, what we did, we have talked about volumes, right? So first of all, create a volume and associate instance fdf space capital -th. lsblk, it lists the block based devices, and after that grab the name. I'm going to do that today. Okay, what is that? Get the name of newly associated volume by giving lsblk, and first thing mkfs -t ext4 ext3 xfs, you can pick any. Then most of the times it is going to be dev xpdf. After that mkdir new volume, you can give any name, guys. Just to I'm just using new volume as a name, but you can give a folder with your own name also. So give mkdir space new volume, then mount /dev /xpdf space new volume, whatever the file name you have given. Give that. Okay, so then it is going to mount. Now go inside and create some files, and if you are looking for permanent mount, run cat /etc/mtab and grab the entry related to newly associated volume, open vim etc fstab, add the copied entry which you grabbed from this, the last one related to this xpdf. Copy that and add that entry, then give mount -a or sometimes all. Then after every reboot also, that is going to be available automatically. Permanent mount, we made it as a permanent mount. So this is related to that. And when coming to passwords related ones, like so we have a file name is sssd-config. Okay, so under etc ssh, there you are going to have a file with that name. Edit password authentication from no to yes. Restart the service sssd restart, then set up a password. Make sure before this set passwords for root or EC2-user, whatever the user you want to use. EC2-user, the command is passwd root, enter password and confirm password. The same passwd EC2-user you can enter the password as well as confirm the password, then perform this, then log out and try to log in as a newly created user, and you can work on that. Okay, so we have imaging option pending, that is same as our Windows, nothing new. For example, I perform all changes here, right? I need another copy of this first Linux instance. Go to actions, go to image, create image, Linux Golden AMI. Do you want to reboot or no reboot? And this additional volume 1 GB, do you need this volume or you really don't require this volume? I need this volume. I'm going to select and enabling delete and termination. Click on create image. Immediately one snapshot is going to create, and that snapshot is going to associate to our AMI. From this AMI, you can launch a new instance. You are going to get all the settings, new volume, associated entries, HTTPD configurations, SSSD settings, everything. Okay. So I'll share these documents today. Okay, use this URL to get all those. Not only this, like our future and everything is going. I'm going to store into this GitHub location. You can access not only now, at any time also you can access this. What happened to this internet gone? No, additional volume will not become as a shared volume. It is completely going to clone our entire server. So you are going to get a new volume. So here under volume screen, so these are our additional volume which we already have for existing server. Exactly same way you are going to get another one, and it is going to contain same copy of this, but this is not going to share with newly launched server. What happened to this? GitHub. Is it platform is down, GitHub? Yeah, it's working. So here is the one, AWS Labs. So okay, so here AMI is created. So if you really want to keep this instance, you can, or else you can just delete it. So I'm terminating it. Again, termination protection is enabled for this instance. So go to settings, change your termination protection. Go to actions, change termination protection, disable it, and I'm going to delete this. I'm going to terminate this. So even so one volume, this additional volume we have associated manually. So is it going to delete along with our EC2 instance? No. Later on we have added. So it is not going to delete automatically. See this? So I'm going to delete this. So technically I deleted complete instance, including all the volumes and everything. Now we have this AMI, right? From this AMI, I'm going to launch a new instance. Launch T2 micro, and I'm going with all the default options. See this 1 GB volume also is there. Click on next. So this is new instance. Select a security group, MySG or WebSG review, and click on launch. So here, let's take Mumbai key pair, and I'm associating, click on launch instance. So in Linux operating system, if you lost an instance key pair, it is very, very easy to get that. Simple, create an image, from that image, launch a new key pair. From that image, launch a new instance with new key pair. That's it. If you don't edit such type of settings, if passport authentication is set to no, then that works. We'll see that. Okay, so the EC2 document, here it is. So I'm going to upload that to this Git as well as Linux. Give me a minute. I'll Okay, I'll upload today to our S3 bucket only. Seems like we have some issues with this Git. So our bucket is 66, right? So okay, so here is the ec2.txt and another one is linux.txt. So whoever not registered for the Linux course, this document contain a coupon or else directly you can get this URL. So it is a 100% free coupon and it works for coming 3 days. So you can utilize, and if you want to share it with someone, you can definitely share that. And this URL work for only coming 3 days only. Make sure you registered within that. Okay, it's a 6 hours program, so you can take 1 hour for every single day, and you can be good at Linux operating system. Okay, so these are the URLs: linux.txt, and another one is like EC2 one is ec2.txt. Okay, so in our next session, we are going to start with the load balancer. Okay, so then see you again tomorrow, guys. Thank you.